Okay, this video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of trigonometry, and more specifically, we're going to focus our understanding on true bearings. So what are true bearings? Well, true bearings are essentially a method used to describe a direction from one point to another. And we use true bearings when we are taking a bearing from one point to another. So if we're looking at our example, we're going from point A to point B, or from point B to point A. Now, to measure a bearing, you always start at true north, so you always start facing north, and then you turn clockwise until you are facing the required direction to find that point. And if you look, for example, the true bearing of A from B, of B from A, so from A to B is going to be 72 degrees. Now, we actually write this as 072. Okay, true bearing is always written in 3 digits. So if the degrees is less than 90, you just less than 100, you just add a 0. To find the true bearing of A from B, okay, we position ourselves at B, facing north. So we'd be facing this way, and we turn clockwise until we end up facing A, and therefore we would have a degrees of 252. So it's important to remember, always start facing north, always turn clockwise, and always remember that true bearings are written in 3 digits. So let's have a look at an example that would involve true bearings. So it says, starting from point A, a motorbike travels 7 kilometers east to point B and 3 kilometers south to point C. Find the bearing of C from A. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the angle that's highlighted by our red arrow here. Okay, so we're trying to find this angle. Now we know straight away that we have a 90-degree angle here. So all we need to do is now find theta. And in this particular case, we have our opposite and our adjacent. Okay, we've just been doing trigonometry. So we've got our opposite and our adjacent. We know that's our tangent. So the tan of theta is going to equal our opposite over our adjacent, which is 3 over 7. We can use our calculator to find theta. Theta is going to give us approximately 23 degrees. Put 23.2 degrees. All right. We know that we've got our 90 degrees already, so our large angle is actually going to be, all right, so the bearing is actually going to be 90 degrees plus 23.2 degrees. That's going to give us a bearing of 113.2 degrees true north. Okay, so here's a practice question that I'd like you to have a go at. Now, just a hint on this particular question, you may not be asked to find the bearing because it might give you the bearing, but then you may be asked to find the distance using a right angled triangle trig. Alright, so please pause the question, pause the video, sorry, have a go at the question, and when you think you've got the right answer, continue on and we'll go through it. Okay, so let's see how you went. So the question is actually asking how far east of the starting position is the rally driver. Now if you look at our diagram here, right, we're actually trying to figure out how far east they've gone. Now the diagram or the question actually says on a bearing of 145 degrees for 28.5 kilometers they were traveling along. So they've actually gone along this line here, which is our hypotenuse, for 28.5 kilometers. We know that this angle here is 90 degrees, and we know the total is 145, so that means that this angle must be 55 degrees. We have our hypotenuse, we're trying to find our adjacent, so essentially we might be able to just use our cosine. We know our angle is 55, so the cosine of 55 degrees is equal to our adjacent, which is x, over our hypotenuse, which is 28.5. So therefore, x must equal 28.5 times by the cosine of 55. We can use our calculator to work that out. And that'll give us an answer of approximately 16.35 kilometers east.